going on YouTube? This is Perry with Premier Guitar. I'm here today in Nashville, Tennessee with the prog rockers here, these legendary dudes on their 25th anniversary right now, which is kind of amazing. You'll see a lot of silver today going on because of it, but this is the guys from Mo. We're here to talk about some guitars and some gear, so I guess we'll start with guitars.
Awesome.
All right, man. So you guys have been doing this a hot minute.
That's right.
And I understand
25 years.
25 years,
yeah.
Man. That's congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And so that's why you're bringing out some silver stuff for us today, huh?
That's
this
right.
Is pretty cool. Tell me more about this.
Yeah. So I had Gibson Custom Shop make this for me just in time. I busted out on New Year's this year at midnight.
No kidding.
Yeah, sure, man.
That's awesome.
I've been playing a 56 gold top for years now, which has just been my go-to guitar.
Touring with it and everything?
Oh yeah.
Doesn't scare you?
It's my baby. I love it. I mean, but it's meant to be played.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been refinished and routed, whatever. It's a player, but
sure.
it's a great guitar. But you know, we were doing the silver anniversary, and one of the ideas we had is like, well, let's bust out a bunch of silver gear. You know, we'll do kind of everything in silver, and we wear silver, and you know, it's kind of different every night though. But yeah,
like
and so I was like, well, you know, what if I did a silver top instead of the gold top?
So did you give the custom shop your gold top to?
No, I was just like, because I was like, man, I just want an R7. Do one of your 57 reissues, but do it as a silver top instead of a gold top. And you know, we talked a little bit about the specs, and they asked me about the neck, and you know, I had the option of sending one in or not, and I was like, yeah, I'm not that picky. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I like what the custom shop is doing these days, and you know, happy with this.
Did you specify pickups, or is that were those stock for the?
You know, R7? It ships with their, I guess they're doing custom buckers these days, and. But we've been really tight with Seymour Duncan for years, and so I have Antiquities in mind because they do a great job with their pickups.
Yeah.
And in fact, in my gold top, I mean, I had real PAFs in that guitar, but they got too microphonic, and it got to the point where it was like starting to squeal. It wasn't happy feedback
hard
anymore,
to control.
Right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to wax pot them or anything, and I got a set of their Antiquity PAFs from them, and I mean, and they sound amazing. They were so great, you know.
Very cool.
And so I'm couldn't be happier.
So
you know, instead of putting like a pair of $5,000 pickups in my guitars, happy to use Seymour's pickups.
But so when you're not playing this, it looks like you are going with this guy here.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, it's a 19.
You mind if I pick it up
go
and
ahead.
show everybody on camera?
Yeah.
So what year we got here?
This is a 58, I believe.
Very
cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a 58 Junior.
Is this the stock pickup?
Stock pickup.
Have you had it rewound or anything?
No,
wow.
no, and it's loud as heck. Yeah, it's really loud. In fact, I was just talking to our guitar tech Frank Robbins about this today. I was like, every time I swap out, because I use this for like alt tuning, some slide stuff.
So do you have to compensate with pedals for the output level or anything?
I actually just go to the amp and I just turn down my gain a little bit because you know I never really checked the impedance on it, you know, see what it was, but it's way hotter. It just happens to be one of the hot P90s, you know. It's a good one.
That's awesome.
And it sounds great. And it's one of those guitars that sounds great unplugged too, you know. And
like
again,
a player.
Yeah, and it's a beater, but it's
a beautiful beater.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I like a guitar that's been loved.
Yeah, for sure, man. So you're also playing these, which is rare to see these silver jubilees.
That's right. Yeah.
This is really cool, man. Walk us through these bad boys real quick.
Okay.
Looks like you got a 112 and a 212.
That's right. Yeah, they're both the 25-50 combos, so you can run them at either 25 watts or 50 watts. You know, and they sound better at 50, you know, as most amps with like the half power switch tend to. It just sounds better when they're
a little fuller.
Yeah, when they're, you know, like most tube amps, they sound better when they're operating at full power and when, you know, you're kind of hitting the power tubes where they want to be,
right, where
you
they
know, in the sweet spot. And
yeah.
But the nice thing about them is that, you know, I have this option of going from a 112 at 25 watts to 212s at 50 watts, and that range, that decibel range that we have, you know, we can do club gigs to, you know, festival sets, right? Yeah.
And you guys play a lot of festival stuff.
We do, yeah. You know, so we could be doing anything from an intimate club gig where we're playing to 500 people to literally playing to 50,000 people, and these amps can kind of cover that territory and still relatively retain the same tone, which is awesome.
It's really cool. And before, I mean, obviously you're doing this for this tour, but
right.
You're playing a blues breaker before,
yeah, I had
right?
a blues breaker before that. Yeah, I actually have a vintage, it's a 69 blues breaker, and it's, I love this amp. And I was playing AC30s for years, and then like totally scored this blues breaker, and I didn't have to like sell a car to buy it or anything, and it's my favorite amp. I have some other Plexi Marshalls, and it's very comparable to that, but there's something about those combos. They have a lot of really, really clean headroom, and there's something about that. It's pretty magical, and I mean, it's been my baby for a couple of years, and then I've always wanted to do the Silver Jubilee thing, and so many guys use them and get such a wide variety of tones out of them. I know obviously everybody knows it's the Slash amp,
sure.
but Joe Bonamassa has been using these for years, and there's such a wide variety of guys, even like a bunch of like indie rock dudes and punk rockers like have been playing these amps, and it's, again, have this ridiculous like clean tone. There's a lot of clean headroom that you can get.
A lot
out
of people
it.
wouldn't imagine that about a Marshall. You kind of think Marshall maybe gain, but really I think these sound pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's there's something about it. I guess it's probably similar to like a JCM 800
sure.
circuit that they then modded, when they did this thing, and they're just perfect. They're great.
How do you feel like, is it a lot different compared to your blues breaker on stage? Like, does it feel pretty similar? Like, it sounded in the soundtrack, it's set right in the mix perfectly.
It's similar, but I have to get there differently. You know what I mean?
That. Okay.
And so, the blues breaker chassis, or the amp, is essentially a Plexi 50-watt tremolo.
Right.
And that's what the amp is. But it has the solid state rectifier in it, and this is a totally different design,
animal,
totally different circuit. The other one has like the 4 inputs, so I can jump the channels together, and you kind of do all the Plexi stuff that you would do. But I get a very similar tone out of both of them, but just you're approaching it from a different
totally different angle.
That's it.
Well, I tell you what, let's reframe and talk about some of your pedals.
Okay, sure, cool.
All right, man. You got a tidy little board here. Nothing
Sure.
too fancy considering how dynamic you guys get live, but let's walk through this.
Okay, sure.
So I guess show me where you're coming in and going out.
It just starts at the tuner, and it kind of winds through from right to left essentially. But I go through I've always had a fuzz pedal of some kind first, and I swap them out from time to time. For a while I was touring with a vintage fuzz face actually, and then I swapped it out for the Analog Man fuzz face, essentially his sun face, or and then I was using his Sunline pedal. The thing about those fuzz face pedals, especially the ones with the germanium transistors in it, like you said, we play a bunch of festivals, and you get out there in the sun in the summertime, and they do not like hot days like that.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And it's funny, like I struggled with it, and it would sound really like ratty and kind of horrible, and so I just, I've been using this Beano Boost, and it kind of does what those pedals will do for me. Get a nice like fat saturated tone out of it, and
it's more consistent though, without
a little more consistent, right? Exactly. So I go from there into the wah. It's a vintage Vox wah. It's got that stack of dimes in there and some tropical fish, and very very similar to the like the Clyde wahs.
Sure. Similar travel, you mean, or just
no,
like the sound overall?
Similar circuit to the Clyde
gotcha.
McCoy. It's the one that came right after it.
Right.
And these are like the Italian ones they put out, and those are my favorite.
That's your one. That's your
I have like half a dozen of those just sitting in drawers or whatever, because whenever I see them, I kind of snag them. Full drive 2, simple overdrive, and it's funny because I used that for years and then sort of ditched it, and I've gone through like a bunch of like different things. Totally came back to it, and I like it just because there's 2 gain stages and it sounds organic.
Yeah, I've noticed those have more of an ampy kind of thing
and that's exactly what I'm looking for. It's an Analog Man buffer here that I use, again, just because I want to sort of maintain that thing where if I, just
switch guitars,
or if I just plug straight into my amp, what does my tone sound like, as opposed to running through all of this, what does it sound like? I mean, there was a time when I had a pedal board with 20 pedals on it, and I had, way more like fuzz and overdrive pedals and stuff on it, and then several delay pedals, and you know what I mean? It was kind of nuts, and the whammy pedal and whatever, and like after a while I was just like, I got to a point where I was like doing more like tap dancing on stage than actually playing guitar, and I felt like I really needed to like be a better guitar player than I was like
playing
producer on stage,
Gotcha.
And so this was an effort to really just sort of streamline what I was doing here and focus a little bit more on you know, my inner Derek Trucks or something,
Sure.
and just be a better guitar player with, you know, a guitar, a cable, and an amp. And although, you know, I have this, but
Right. So did you put this fuller tone trem in to compensate for the Blues Breaker?
no, because I wouldn't.
You weren't using the tremolo.
Oh yeah, the tremolo on the Blues Breaker is so cool. But
It sounds awesome.
Yeah, but it's like a stuttery, like old British kind of trem thing, and it's not very usable. These were made for a short time, Caden Effects, and I think they were actually made by a dude in Nashville.
Oh, no kidding.
There's a geeky guitar website online where I like buy and sell stuff all the time, and I found out about these tremolo pedals. And again, it sounds like it's almost like a blackface Fender kind of
And this
circuit.
volume pot here, is
Yeah.
that just the output volume for that pedal?
It's
Oh, very
nice,
cool.
right? Because a
That's
lot of
nice.
times you hit a tremolo and then, you know, you're right.
Way down, yeah.
Right. So, you know, it compensates for it. And again, I have a couple of these, and they aren't being made anymore, unfortunately. But I love that tremolo pedal, and I haven't found another one that really sounds quite as organic.
Are you a really, really big fan of Analog Man, or is this
Hey,
just...
what do you think? Yeah, no.
No, I mean, they make great stuff.
Yeah,
This-
Mike Piero's an awesome dude, and he makes great effects. I mean, I have a bunch more of his fuzz pedals too,
Sure.
and in fact, I have one of his delay pedals on the way, because I'm going to replace the delay here. As much as I love the analog delay, I'm ready to like step up to something with a tap tempo
Sure.
and presets, and you know, I just
Little
need
more
something-
control.
Little more control. Yeah, Mike's pedals are fantastic.
Are you running this chorus like a lot, or is it just...
It depends. Like, it's nice. The
Seasoned
bi-chorus
taste.
is cool because, so what I do a lot of times, I use it with like as a modulation on the delay.
Oh, cool.
So it just gives me a little bit more texture. You know, in the context of this band, a lot of times there's a lot going on. So I just want to have something that sits in the mix again a little bit
layers
differently.
well, sure.
But the nice thing about it is you can switch from the slow chorus to the fast chorus, so I can get that Leslie kind of thing going on.
Does it
great for rhythm.
gradually speed up and slow
No,
down like
no,
a Leslie?
it's on or off.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool, yeah. And then what's this guy here?
That's a compressor. Yeah, it's so
yeah.
old.
It's really old, yeah, it looks like
that's
it's mostly worn.
That's his compressor. It's based on the old gray Ross compressor, and I use that a lot actually for my lead tone.
No kidding.
Without using either of the overdrive pedals.
Just to get
because
some clean...
It's clean,
compressed.
but again, you know, most of the time I'm riding my guitar, let's say with my volume on about 6. But if I go up to 10, I've got all the saturation and gain that I need. And then combined with that pedal, like then it becomes fat and the notes are sustainy or whatever. But if I back off the volume, then again, now it's clean and they're cutting through a little bit, but they're just a
Not
little
as
fatter.
buttery, sure,
and
yeah.
it's great. But that's
It's a great little simple rig, man.
yeah, and that's sort of the idea. And I did the strip down thing a couple of years ago, and I kind of never looked back.
I get that, man.
Yeah, it's been great.
Well, good on you, man.
Yeah.
Hey, sound check sounded great. We're
Yeah,
gonna
thank
talk
you
to the
very
rest of
much.
the guys in the band here and show you the rest of the gear. See you in a minute.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, guys, now we're over here with Chuck, and Chuck has some of the coolest guitars I've seen in a long time. So let's start with those.
They're different.
They are different for sure. So tell us about this bad boy.
Yeah, this is this guy, Dan Becker in Attleboro, Mass, makes these. He and another guy, Ryan Martin, make guitars and basses, and they just make a ton of really cool,
Funky stuff.
far out stuff. Yeah, just different designs. Most of it is just very much not classic body shapes and designs. They do a bunch of cool stuff.
Different shapes. Yeah.
And they do a lot of the work by hand. It's just they do a really amazing job. You can see like the pick guard on this is like a quarter inch.
thick. Yeah, I know, it's huge.
You know, and I've beaten this guitar up, and Delta Airlines beat this guitar up too.
Always.
But it's I played this for like 3 years straight and just beat the crap out of it, and it's still a
It
great
still
guitar.
looks really super cool.
Yeah.
So is this your number one, or is this just, you kind of mix it up quite a bit throughout
It
the show?
was
huh?
for a really long time. It's got Lindy Fralin pickups in it with
very
coil
cool.
taps.
Coil taps with all the knobs.
And I got like a bunch of sounds out of it, and I got really used to it and used it for 3 or 4 years, 3 years maybe.
Let's show the
straight.
camera this headstock too, because I love
yeah.
that they have the high E by itself over here. That's
Yeah.
just so strange.
Everything they definitely do like really kind of
A little bit different, everything. Huh?
psychedelic shapes.
So with this silver
Far
one,
out.
did you have this built for this tour?
Yes, I had another guitar that was it was neck through, and it was solid, but it was very heavy. And I said, we were talking about making guitars for this tour, our silver anniversary tour, and I really wanted a silver sparkle or a silver, color like this. And we talked about it, and this is neck through, but it's totally hollow. It weighs like
Nothing.
5-6 pounds. It's really light.
I can still smell the paint.
Yeah, you can. It's pretty. Mind altering.
And that headstock is totally different.
Yeah. They had this headstock shape on a couple of different guitars that they do, but this is my Jetson.
And they sync the quarter in there for the 25th anniversary?
Yeah, it's a 1989 quarter. That's the year that the band started.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, it's a great guitar, really light. I'm still getting used to it, but this is a Seymour Duncan special, like custom shop pickup. They called it a Becker Bucker.
Oh,
and
cool.
They made it for this company. Yeah, and Dan had it from a long time ago. And this is a Fralin P92.
Cool. And so obviously this guitar's got to sound a lot cleaner.
It's a little different
than the other Becker, huh?
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, the light body definitely affects how it feeds back and does a lot of different things.
Oh, for sure, I bet. Do you have any foam or anything in there to try to? No.
Nope.
Does it feed back a lot, or?
It does if I have the gain really
real
cranked, because I'll stack 2 or sometimes 3 pedals.
Cool.
So.
Well, let's talk about this Collings too, because that's a beautiful 335-ish looking thing here.
I've had this for about a year, and this guitar, actually, I got it here in Nashville. It was at a shop, I think it was at Carter Vintage.
Yeah, Carter Vintage is a great shop.
They have a relationship with Collings, I think, and someone from Carter came over and brought it by. I was going to check it out, and I played it that night here
at the
a year
show?
ago. Yeah, and I've been pretty much playing it almost every show ever since.
Yeah, those are rad. Did this come stock with these, or?
Yep, these are throwback pickups, which is an upgrade, I guess.
Yeah, they're like the vintage voiced wound. Is that the deal with those, or?
They are. Yeah, they're like an old PAF sounding pickup, but.
Very cool.
The guitar was just really great. It's good for finger picking and.
Yeah, I noticed the neck is actually a little wide. Looks like a little wider than a lot of other guitars.
You think so? I don't know the specs on any of this stuff, but it felt really good, and it was just kind of like a lively instrument that.
Sure.
Sometimes some guitars are great for playing with a pick. Some you can finger pick, and this thing I felt like I could do a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah.
So it's the same with this one. I'm just kind of like. I'm in this phase of hollow body guitars now. I kind of wanted to get into it.
We heard your sound check. It sounded great.
Thanks.
I mean, everything's cutting through, and
thanks.
You guys got a lot of stuff going on to be able to distinguish notes and single sounds, because there are a lot of layers. But I was really surprised to hear it all cut through so well.
Good.
I was like, yeah.
Everybody finds their little frequency notch.
Finds their little niche.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm guessing that has a lot to do with these amps. I've never seen a Bruno, so is this something you had for a long time?
This, I can't remember how long I've had it. I've actually, this is the first one that I got. I bought it in '97.
This combo?
Yep, and it says it's a Pony 50, but it's not. It's actually an 80-watt Tweed Twin clone, like a 1959 Tweed Twin clone. And it's got a Tone Tubby and a Weber speaker in it right now. And I used this for a really long time, but it's 80 watts, it's pretty loud.
That's right.
And when I was using a Strat, that was like my thing with a couple of different pedals. And I just kind of slowly got away from it. It's a great sounding amp, and when we play outdoors or if we do certain things in the studio, I'll use this sometimes.
Sure.
And it just sounds great. It's a classic high-powered Tweed sound.
And how different does it sound from the head and
very much different.
Totally different. Huh?
This is EL84s, 36 watts.
36. That's odd. Cool.
It's very much like an AC30 or a Matchless, but I think he biases it really hot, so you get like a little more volume out of it. Yeah.
A little something.
So it compresses a lot, but it also it's just like it does a great clean and. Pretty gnarly overdrive, like it kind of starts to sound like a Marshall a little bit. Huh. And a 310 cabinet, which is very odd.
310?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yes.
I've been a fan of smaller speakers lately. Why 10 inches as opposed to 12?
Well, Al uses 12s, and he pretty much has, the whole time we've been playing together, I used 12s forever. And then I started using 10s, and it was just kind of like a nice high mid-range sound. Yeah. And with two guitars, it's good to differentiate, just to get something different. So,
shake it up so you can hear them.
Yeah. So this amp is 30, 36 watts, but it's still pretty loud. So I actually Sometimes I use this matchless. It's a Lightning reverb from like '97, I think.
It's beautiful.
And that's only 15 watts. So I kind of have all my
Do you love it because of the reverb, or is it just the amp itself sounds rad? Like, are you?
The amp sounds really good. It's the power, really. Like for a small place or for certain things, that amp just
That's
works
the one,
really
huh?
well.
Well, and then tell me about this univalve you're running here. This isn't something that you're playing guitar through, is it?
I am.
You are. Okay.
I am. I actually right now I use this for my main guitar sound right now, and this is actually the Bruno is powering a Vibratone.
Oh, very
Which
cool.
is kind of in this isolation box. It just lives in its road case. And so there are a couple of microphones in there, some Sennheisers that are flat, and they're on the top and the side. So you can get like a stereo Leslie kind of sound.
So it stays rigged right like that. You just
Yes.
run an XLR into it, or
Yep, and I have a speed pedal up here, and I just...
so you can control the whirl.
Yes,
Very
yeah,
cool.
fast and slow. So this is main guitar sound. That's running the Vibratone. This thing is running the Framptone talk box.
Talk box.
Yeah,
Cool.
and it's a single-ended, like a 7-watt, depending on what power tube you put into it, amp. So it's kind of like a utility amp.
Great.
And you can run that through speakers too if you want to. But
Super handy. All right, man. Well, I guess that covers amps. Let's talk about some pedals.
all right,
All right, man. I'm seeing some pretty rad stuff over here. We got a Klon and an old tube take, full tone. This is too cool. You gonna walk me through the signal chain?
yeah. So from the guitar, the first thing that the signal hits is this Beano boost. Analog Man, Mike Piera is awesome. We've been friends with him for a very long time, and he's just a great guy and makes cool effects. But this thing, we were talking about overdrives and different things, and then I never bonded with fuzzes totally, but I started using this thing, and this is different. It's got a germanium transistor in it, but it cleans up very well, and it boosts in a different way, and it's just something.
Is it a kind of a clean boost, or is it?
No.
No, it's hot. Huh?
It's gnarly, yeah.
Cool.
When you back off the guitar volume, it can get very pristine and very like thin and shimmery, which is great. Like if you have kind of like woofy sound going on, this thing it just works for some things like finger picking and playing clean stuff, and also when you dime the volume on the guitar, it's like full on fuzz.
Gotcha.
So it's very cool. I've used this for a long time. The Bi-Comp is kind of like one of his mainstays. This is like a Ross or an MXR Dynacomp
Cool.
clone, and this side is an orange squeezer, a Dan Armstrong orange squeezer. And this, he also did a couple of modifications
Is this
to
like
it.
a blend?
He's got a blend on
Cool.
it, yeah, which is like brand new thing that he's messing with, and it's very cool.
Cool idea for sure.
It is. So yeah, the guitar goes in, Beano, the Bi-Comp. This is an RMC3 wah that's actually pretty old. It's in a different
I was
case.
gonna say it looks like it's.
I
its share.
actually bought that at Rock Block Guitars
Oh yeah, here in Nashville. Yeah.
a long time ago, and I love it. It's the RMC3 is the fully tunable one, and I have it set so it's really obnoxious. It's very like barfy sound. Blah! It's not like a
Quacky.
classic. It's not a classic wah sound at all. It's insane. But yeah, from that it goes to the tube tape echo, which I use that for a lot of like runaway delay,
Sure.
dub kind of sounding stuff, and also just to like jack the speed around and saturate it. And
Is it controllable with a foot switch, or do you just reach down and?
I turn it on and off with a foot switch here,
Cool.
but the delay time you have to
Manually shift, yeah.
So when you're playing it, you're kind of moving all the knobs and
Dialing
changing
it
the
in.
time. Yeah, it's kind of that. That's,
Do you kind of get one tone, set it and forget it, or
no,
do you play with it all the time?
Yeah, I get down on the floor and I start manhandling it.
Neat.
So that thing is really fun to play with.
Very, very cool.
And then next is this Fox Rocks Octron. This thing is really cool. It's all analog, and you can do octave down, octave up, and the direct signal, and you can blend
Blend
them
it all.
Yeah.
That is really neat.
So I just mess with this with my foot, like as we're going. Like
Uh-huh.
I'll just sometimes use the octave up, sometimes just the down.
And so, as you're dialing it, is it more of the original signal, or is it just less of less dramatic?
If everything is down, nothing is coming out.
Sure.
And then this is the direct, and actually you can have like a slight boost. There's like a little bit left on the end. But yeah, everything else you can kind of just like fade in and out as you want to.
It's be fun to play with.
Yeah, and if you take out the direct and jack the up and down, it's like,
sounds crazy.
It's kind of synthy sounding, which is, I use it for that sometimes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Where are we running from there?
From there we go to, this is an Arc Effects clone. It doesn't sound exactly like the Klon, but it does this other thing that I'm really pretty psyched about.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have an actual Klon.
Yeah. We were just talking about this. I bought that in like 98, 99, I guess, for $200. So I don't want to get rid of it.
No, keep it forever.
And I've been trying clones, and nothing does the cool stuff. Yeah, and actually I use it as a clean boost like this, let the gain's all the way down. But just this past year, I started like really jacking the gain and using that for overdrive. And in the studio, it sounds really great for that kind of stuff. But I actually stack this into the original. So this is kind of like...
With both gains down a little bit? So it just kind of gives you...
This one has more, this is fuzzier.
Gotcha.
I've got it like, it's more like a broken up rhythm sound. And this is more like a clean boost.
Clean boost, yeah.
But this has the mid-range hump. And this doesn't really have the same thing, so that when you use both together, you just get like this really cool textured, great lead sound. So,
Very cool.
I'll use these two. I'll use one of them with the Ross. I'll use this with the volume rolled back on the guitar with this. All different combinations just for different, for different transient sounds or different mid-range or whatever. So I'm always kind of mixing and matching stuff.
And then what's this analog man here? This is different.
That is really cool. It's an analog delay. And there are 2 delays on it. You can set this one with the delay time, the volume, delay time repeats and the volume. And this is another delay time repeats and volume. But the second one, so you can toggle back and forth between the 2. This is the bottom one. That's the top one. I set the top one as a really long. Lots of repeats, so I can do volume swells, and it's kind of like string pads and stuff like that.
Cool.
And the bottom one is kind of like more like the slapback delay or my everyday delay.
Can you run them together?
You can't do both together.
You can't do both together, yeah. That would
but
be
I can use this and this together, which is awesome.
And then what does this do?
This is a controller for the delay. So I've got tap tempo for the analog delay.
Killer.
And you can save presets. So I have different times preset for different songs that I need to use it for. So
very cool.
Yeah.
And then you're manually switching between amps here.
Yeah.
Cool.
This thing, I've had this for a long time too, and it's definitely a good ABC switch. I just because I'm using multiple amps, it helps. You can see I've got cable going to each of the amps from there.
Do you ever run a couple together? Or you usually stick to one at a time?
I've tried it before. Usually I just use one at a time.
That's cool.
But this is the main guitar sound. This is the vibratone, and this is the talk box.
Cool.
So they each have a dedicated amp to run them because they all need different volume and gain. Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Very cool. Well, hey man, I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks.
I dig the silver jacket, man.
Thanks. 25.
It's fancy, it's fancy. We'll catch you guys in a minute. All right guys, now we're here with Frank Robbins, a tech for Mo. He's gonna walk us through some of the bass gear here. And this is pretty simple setup.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
Not too crazy. Both the basses are made by a guy named Jens Ritter in Germany. And the 4-string is his main bass, and the 5-string he plays on a few songs. You can see they got a little bit of wear and tear.
It's got a little love here.
Yeah, that one got dropped when it was brand new, and the piece went shot into the audience, and I never.
I'm surprised that broke and this didn't.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how it hits the ground.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they all got a little bit of wear. You can see where the finger, the thumb gets digging in, and
they are played.
They get played, exactly.
Running active pickups in both?
Active pickups, yeah. It's all Jens circuitry and pickups, everything he does. A one-man shop, and he does great work, and we really love his gear.
Beautiful
Sounds
guitars.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so I guess if we step right over here are some amps. Is this the only cab you're running bass
Yeah,
through?
we're only running a 1-610 cabinet. It's Epiphany. Works great, sounds great. It's been on the road for years, haven't had to replace anything.
Ain't broke, don't fix it, huh?
No, exactly, yeah. It works cool.
And then it got a Mesa power amp over here?
Yeah, we got the new Strategy. We got this last spring. Amp really sounds killer, and it's solid as a rock. You know, never had any issues with it.
And then the Bass 400.
The Bass 400, yeah. Rob bought that actually. He used to play a lot of boogie gear, and then he sold the stuff, and he bought some other stuff, and we went back, and he actually bought this one used, and we retubed it and used it for a while till we got the Strategy, and then the Strategy's been the main one. That's just
So are you just running the 400 as a backup now?
Just a backup.
Cool.
That's all it's here.
Are you happier with the newer Mesa tone?
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
Cool, pretty well balanced and everything.
Yeah, and when we got it, it was a brandy new thing, and you know, and they were kind enough to send us one, and
killer.
It sounds just really great.
Can't beat that. Well, Rob's playing some pretty cool pedals for a bass player, so
yeah,
we'll cut here and talk about some pedals.
Cool.
Frank, let's talk about these pedals. Where's he coming in and going out?
Okay, real simple. We're going into the tuner.
Sure.
All right, out of the tuner, we're going to a woolly mammoth, the ZVX woolly mammoth, which actually was in the Sandy flood and pretty much destroyed.
Did you have to rebuild it?
I sent it back to those guys, and they were kind enough to just go ahead and do it for us, like and gratis. They were very cool about that. And they added a power supply, which is a beautiful thing. So I don't have to worry about changing batteries. So that's good. But that was really cool of them. We go from the woolly mammoth to the full tone bass drive.
Sure.
From the bass drive to the Arc Effects Big Green, which is a great sounding pedal. I love it.
Is it a fuzz?
Yeah, like
cool.
a fuzz. 3 different kind of distortions. This thing sounds killer. I'd love to get one for guitar and try it out.
Yeah,
really good,
that'd be interesting.
So from the 3 silly, crazy overdrive kind of setup, we go into the Mooger Fooger.
Cool.
Just for some
funky.
Yeah, it's funky stuff. Just some of the popping and slapping things. From the Mooger Fooger, we're going to the other Mooger Fooger. Which is, this is a phaser. This is a low pass filter. This is a phaser. Again, just something to play with when he's jamming.
Sure.
And from
they have
there,
a pretty dynamic tone range, so.
Yeah, and just, so you can just have some different stuff to play with. So from the Mooger Fooger phaser, we go over to the Echo Tap delay, which gives him tap tempo, and some, so again, effects when he's doing a solo or something. It's always something fun to play with.
And then this knob here is changing the delay time, I'm guessing?
Yeah, delay time, but it's also you can just tap it in, and it's switchable. That you can tap or adjust it. Again, those guys were super cool. We had one, it got wet in the flood. I explained the situation to them. They just sent us another one. So I can't say enough. Thank you very much to those guys for taking care of us after the disaster.
Very cool, very cool.
Yeah, simple setup. And then from there we go back to volume control, which he almost never uses. It's on full, and straight up to the amp. Easy.
Hey, easy peasy.
Yep.
Right on. Well, hey, Frank,
Cool.
I really appreciate you taking the time and walking us through all this stuff. You guys check out our other rig rundowns, our review demos, and everything online. Subscribe to the YouTube, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Don't forget to sign up for PG Perks, your all-access pass to exclusive gear giveaways and discounts on PremierGuitar.com.